and welcome to this quick video on the political spectrum. What we're going to do in this video is look at some of the key different political ideologies. Now, an ideology is a set of beliefs, so what the different parties believe in. So we're going to start with some key questions. So first one is, what is liberalism? Then what is conservatism? What is socialism? What is communism? And what is fascism? So these are the 5 different ideologies that we're going to look at today. So you may have heard before about people talk about the far right or the far left or the left of politics, the right of politics. And this quick picture kind of demonstrates where some of those ideologies rest. So on the far right side, we've got fascism, and on the far left side, we've got communism. And then in the center, we've got kind of these liberal conservative ideas. So that's one way of looking at it. Probably a better way of looking at it is this, where we have liberalism in the center and then communism and fascism coming round in the horseshoe. And this is often better because actually, in reality, communism and fascism have a lot of similarities. So let's start with the centre. So liberalism or liberal ideas are the centre. So you will have heard of liberal democracy. We are a liberal democracy. So liberalism holds the central belief in personal autonomy, so the individual, and they believe in human reason. So liberalism, liberal ideas, are about protecting people's freedoms. They're about making sure that everyone has justice, that there is tolerance in society, that all different belief systems are respected and all different individuals are respected. And they believe that it's government's right to protect those individual rights. So the government should be harming people. They're trying to protect people from other people. However, liberals are also a little bit worried that the government itself can pose a threat. So if you think about Nazism and Nazi government, they didn't allow their people freedom. So that was an example of the government taking away people's liberty. So liberals they want the government to protect it, but they're also a little bit worried about giving the government too much power. Now let's talk about conservatives. So the idea of being conservative is keeping things the same, basically. So they believe in traditions, they believe in traditional values, they have a hierarchy, so they like the way that our hierarchy is structured. They believe in private property and enterprise, that individuals should be able to try for themselves to do well in society. If they do well, great for them. If they don't do so well, actually, that's kind of their fault in some respects. They believe it's government's responsibility to be the servant of the existing ways of life, and that politicians must resist the temptation to transform society and politics too much. They don't like too much change. They want to keep things pretty much as they are. Now, when we talk about keeping things as they are and a hierarchy, this is what we're talking about. This is a hierarchy of society. So at the top, we have the upper class or the bourgeoisie. Then we have the middle class, the working class or the proletariat, and the working poor. So in some societies, if you think back at the beginning of the 20th century, that's the peasants and the farmers. Now socialism comes along and it doesn't like this hierarchy. It doesn't like that the rich at the top, the bourgeoisie, and obviously all the way down to the lower classes. So they said that there should be more of a community-based project and that actually there should be equality. They think about class politics, but they're predominantly interested in the working class. These people who work really hard, but don't have that much money. So actually they want to get rid of classes completely. They want everyone to be equal in society. And they think that you can do this by having common ownership. So private individuals don't own businesses. The state or the government runs those businesses. And they think that will benefit all members of society. So this is the socialist ideas. So the end point of socialism is supposed to be communism. So you'll have heard of communist government. So Russia, for example, became a communist government. Now the idea was that everyone's equal, you get rid of private property and it's public ownership. And society, everyone kind of shares ownership. But what happened in reality is that you had the government, a strong single party government who controlled all the major means of production. They offered their people very few freedoms. So in communist Russia, people didn't have freedoms. And there is no democracy. So you ended up with dictators who would dictate everything that went on in society. So Stalin would be a prime example. So this is the far left. Now the far right, in comparison, fascists, are ultra nationalists and authoritarian. So again, they believe in this idea of this strong leader or dictator. So Nazi Germany obviously had Hitler as the dictator from 1934. They often have very racist elements to their political beliefs. So again, in Germany, obviously we had this anti-Jewish movement. They are ultra nationalists. So this idea of nationalism where you love your country, but they take it way too far and they exclude anyone who they think doesn't fit their model. And again, and this is why the horseshoe comes in handy, is because they actually share a lot of similarities with communism. So again, they have a single party, just one party in control. And again, they offer their people very few freedoms. If you don't agree with the dictator, then you're out, or you're imprisoned, or you go to a concentration camp. And that's the way they worked. So just as a quick summary then, so liberalism protects the right of individuals. Conservatives want to keep things the same. Socialism believes in the equality of classes. Communism believes in equality but made everyone equally poor. And fascism is this ultra-nationalist, racist ideology. Now the complicated part comes with, obviously we are a liberal democracy, so our Conservative Party has conservative views, but also it has liberal views as well. So actually they sometimes have a mix of these different views within parties.